to record. So just to warn everybody, we're recording. If you've got a problem with that, sorry. I mean, that's just... don't say anything. That's the lesson.
How it is, I'm afraid.
It just is. So yeah, so super excited. So shall I do some housekeeping things, Fiona, as I like to do?
Please, Matt, yeah.
So
Yes,
if
please.
you've joined us before, sorry to bore everybody, but if you've not been here before, these things can be useful. I always like to show everybody a few things. So if you wiggle your mouse, first of all, down the bottom of your screen, there's a few little toys usually on the bottom bar. And I think Zoom has opened this up. Month after month, I've always said there were only 2 little fav icons we could do, which were clap and thumbs up. And I was always saying, like, this is great, you know, but wouldn't it be great if we could just do like a love heart or a laughing or shock or, yeah. Oh,
have we got new emojis?
We've got more. I mean,
yeah.
I do have one issue with it, that I still can't say anything negative. Like I can't boo people, but you know, we'll get over that. And there we go. So everybody feel free to go mental with the fav icons. Or emoji, what are they called? They're not fav icons.
Well, I said emojis.
Emojis, that's what they're called. The emojis as we go through. Couple other quick things. We'll be referencing the chat when our speakers jump on. So if you click on chat, you'll see a box will pop up. Please do ask any questions as people are going through. And I think me and Fiona will do our best to kind of capture that and make sure we ask those questions to the relevant people. And one final thing, and that is, a helpful thing if you've not used Zoom before, I'm sure we all have, but if we haven't, in the top right-hand side, usually you can switch views from speaker view to gallery view. And so just choose whatever you want. But I often find like gallery view is quite good initially. And then when we've got a speaker, I jump to speaker view. So that's it from me. Over to you, Fiona, to intro everything. And yeah, let's see how it goes.
Thanks, Matt. Have we got Amanda on here yet at all? Amanda Thompson, I don't think she's here yet. So we've got Amanda Thompson joining us as well from the Nottingham Trent University Business School. But she wants to just tell us about a little bit about a new initiative. But what we'll do is we'll bring her on probably halfway through. Give her a bit of a chance to log on. So yeah, and also I just wanted to update people because we know we haven't got all RSViP members here tonight. It's a bit of a mixture, but there are a few. And even if you're not a member, you may be interested because we've been up to quite a few bits and bobs this month. We have launched our new members area of the website this month about 10 days ago, which is exciting. And details went out to our members this month about that. So we've been having all of our members logging on and accessing all the new features and benefits of the new RSViP website. So that's another thing ticked off the list, which is great. Also, I have been busy behind the scenes working on my training stuff as well. So I mentioned earlier that I launched my new website, but I've also launched a new online training hub as well that goes with that. So all of that can be accessed through my new website, which I'm going to put the link on the live chat later once I've finished talking, in case anybody's interested in looking at that. There's a lot of free stuff on there at the moment that's available to you to download, which is why I'm telling you about it now. Vic Prince, hello. Victoria told me all about MemberVault, which is the platform I'm using for my online hub actually, and it's brilliant. So on there you can download and watch my new webinar, which is all about maintaining relationships at a distance. There's also my new ebook, which is available to download free, and also some other good stuff as well, products and things that may be of use. So
you have been busy, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I've written a book, I've built a website, you know, August has been a month for me.
Amazing. So Fiona, are you going to put that in the chat for us in a bit as well?
I'm going to put that in the chat for you, yeah, just so you can all link in on that in your own time. But I think without further ado then, shall we crack on with our first speaker?
Yeah, who's up first then, Fiona?
So we're gonna go with Tim first, if that's all right with you, Tim. Just need to unmute you. And whilst we do, I'm going to do a little intro in a minute. There we go. Right, so Tim Elliott. So our Tim, he works with leaders and entrepreneurs to help them design effective strategies. He hosts the Creative Mornings in Derby, which some of you may have attended before, and is an entrepreneur in residence at the University of Nottingham, as well as a startup mentor. You may have also seen Tim sat beside marketing guru and our very own Paul Chapman, who's also online here. Give us a wave, Paul. Paul and Tim worked together on their strategy session videos, which you may have watched, as well as you may well have seen Tim speaking at events and workshops across the East Midlands as well. So Tim, welcome. Hello. Ah,
Tim, you're a bit quiet, mate.
Just need to turn you up. Can you turn your volume up a little bit?
It was working just fine. You know, we did a whole check and we were all joking about tech being, you know, we always check everything. No, it's gone completely now, mate.
Oh, you've gone. You've disappeared from us.
Oh, he's saying 1 minute. Oh, he's no, mate. We can't hear a thing.
No, still can't hear you. Maybe unplug you.
Hang on, he's on mute. Now you are. Try now. No.
Still not happening. Ah, this is our first technical error in 6 months, isn't it?
This has never happened.
This
is a historic moment, folks. I hope you're all enjoying it. I mean, maybe Tim could do his whole talk like through the emojis. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
That would be a first, wouldn't it?
I tell you what, why don't
should we go to Claire then instead?
Yeah, should we maybe start with Claire and then we'll see how Tim's doing and see if Tim can get that sorted. Is that all right, Claire?
Work on that. Is that all right with you, Tim? We'll leave you to it for a bit, yeah? Claire, are you ready for us?
I was going to say, check you can hear me first.
Yes, we can hear you. It's a blooming good job, isn't it? Okay, well, I'm going to do another intro now. Wait for it.
This is what we do, right? We think on our feet. You know, we don't let these things knock us down. He says. Right,
so Claire, thank you so much for joining us, Claire. I'm just going to tell people a little bit about yourself and then we'll go to a bit of a chit chat. So Claire Brumby is an award-winning and high-performance business coach, a channel swimmer, dragon slayer, inspirational speaker and best-selling author. One sector of specialism that Claire is in is the food industry, having founded, grown and exited her multi-award-winning healthier snack brand Scrubby's Vegetable Crisps, which are now sold in 21 countries. Her entrepreneurial journey has had many twists and turns, from facing the dragons and pitching on Dragon's Den to being invited to St James Palace twice and rubbing shoulders with countless celebrities along the way. So Claire, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me along. I'm actually quite obsessed with the little reaction bingo in the corner there. I'm going to have to stop because you want to.
Well, feel free to have a go. You know, you can put your thumbs up to yourself if you like.
Yeah, why not? Let's go for it.
I'm loving how you started talking and immediately like issued your own reactions to your own thing. I love it. Exactly. That was brilliant. Keep it going.
So, Claire, we had a bit of a chat, didn't we, before people started coming online, about your experience on Dragon's Den, and that was a big part of your career, I think, and a big kind of moment for you in your career journey. I know you mentioned that you were kind of at the stage in your career where you'd hit a bit of a brick wall, you'd put absolutely everything into building your business. It was your baby, yours and your husband's. You were in some kind of dire straits, I guess, financially, weren't you? You put absolutely everything personally into your business to build it up. Yeah. And going on Dragon's Den was kind of one of the last resorts for you, wasn't it? And you could really tell that. I don't know who's seen Claire on the clip of the 10-minute clip of her pitch on Dragon's Den, who might be here. If you haven't, I suggest watching it. But you really showed a lot of emotion. You could just see it. And it evoked a lot of emotion in me when I watched it, I know for sure. And I know you said that after that, for months after, people were walking up to you in the street, hugging you, saying, you know, well done on your pitch. And I know you didn't get investment in the end. But I guess my question to you is, knowing the end result of what happened when you exited the business and you sold it, and it's now in the crisps that you developed, that were your baby originally, are now sold in 21 countries. How did you get from that pitch in Dragon's Den to the success that you ended up with? Tell us about the journey.
Okay,
it's a big question.
So I'll start. So to answer your question, how do you? It's through really never giving up and having that inner resilience, because You know, we all know what it's like to get knocked. We all know what it's like to try and get back up. We all know what it's like when you just feel like you're absolutely got nowhere else to go. And I'm a really big believer that life will take you as low as you're willing to go. And that comes from your own self-worth. It comes from your own self-esteem. It comes from your confidence. It comes from your mindset and all of these things. So when you're in a bad place, as I was, as anybody who wants to watch that on Dragon's Den can see, my self-belief, mindset, confidence and everything was literally on the floor. Now, it got put on the floor for various reasons. If I flash back to 2005, I nearly died from a blood clot, and it took me so long to get back going from that point. And so when I got to Dragon's Den, I kind of like, we'd taken a loan, a small loan, to launch the actual brand back in 2000, and about 10, 11 we got the money. Then we got launched in 2012, and we ended up on Dragon's Den to kill two birds with one stone, to raise awareness for the brand and also to get some cash in. You're quite right, we didn't get the investment. We went in for £75,000 for 15% equity. Duncan came straight in, he offered half of it, and then we had the scene that you can see on the clip to say, I'll go ahead, I don't want to go ahead of my heart and all this sort of thing. Peter nearly came over the line, Deborah nearly came over the line, but then they didn't. Now, at that time when we were filming that, it was a really tough time for me personally and in the business. When we launched, I'm a kind of all-in person, so both my husband and I left our jobs. We'd already got ourselves into a load of debt from being ill the years before. When you don't know, you don't know, so you do you just do whatever it takes. And we lived on credit cards, so we got ourselves into £30,000 worth of debt, and we jacked our jobs and went all in to get the business launched. Now that took us so far, and then when we came to the Den, we'd hit the wall. So I'd taken a second job. We've got 3 kids at the time. One of them was sitting the SATs to go to big school, secondary school. One was taking a GCSE options, and George was doing something else. So all the kids were at major points. The stress in the business had really hit my husband hard, and he'd become a functioning alcoholic. I was on a 2-hour commute to a job in Bradford as a sales manager for another food brand. So all the emotion and me completely like cracking in front of you on Dragon's Den was a culmination of all of this. All the debt, the marital problems, the things with the kids, the fact that we had no money, the fact that I was holding the job down, this complete passion and desire and will inside me to get the business going. And that came from when I nearly died. So when I nearly died, I like sort of said to myself, what am I doing? What am I here for? What's my mission? What's my purpose? And I'll be honest, on that crisp journey, I got taken the wrong way. And this is what I say, any business or any road will do in your business if you don't know where you're going. And if you go on the wrong road, you'll get just taken absolutely anywhere. And that's what had happened in the crisp business, and I'd got to that point where I felt like I'd created a bit of a monster. But we had to get the funding, we had to get some investment to take it to a safe destination, because I hadn't gone through all I'd gone through to not actually get to that safe destination. So we didn't get the funding. But after Dragon's Den, so the point where I'm nearly crying, which was the bit that was used as a clip, and actually when you're going in the Den, you're not allowed to tell anybody. You have to sign an NDA and a whole manner of paperwork, because if it gets out that you've gone on Dragon's Den purely for publicity, the dragons can actually sue you. So I'd not told my job that I was going on Dragon's Den, and I remember sitting in my office in Bradford, and I got a phone call from, I forget her name now, and she said, "Don't worry, but," and I was like, "Oh God, don't worry what?" She said, "We're going live with the trailer, and we're going to put you on this Sunday." And the trailer was a few seconds clip of me nearly crying. It's the scene where Peter Jones says, "You've got a dream, you've got a business, but you're broke. It's taking you to the edge. It's written all over your face." All that line, and that's what they used as the clip. So I went straight to my boss, a lady called Jill, and said, "I've got something to tell you." Obviously, that went down like a lead balloon. Not long after that, I left the company. And then from then on, this roller coaster started, where, the clip was played for building up to it. We didn't get the investment. We were already talking to some other investors. And, you know, when Dragon's Den went out, everything went crazy. The website crashed. Everything just went, you know, super crazy. But what it did, it attracted other investors to us. And then we ended up taking a deal with some other investors, which was actually the wrong thing to do with the wrong people, and the wrong deal was done. And it was that point when I knew in my gut that I'd done the wrong thing, we'd done the wrong thing. And I always say, when the fun goes, the passion dies. And when we brought the investors into the business, I felt like I'd had my wings clipped. I just couldn't behave like an entrepreneur anymore. It changed the dynamics in the business and everything. And at that point, that's when I thought, right, okay, build the brand up and sell it and get out. Go back to when I'd had the blood clot. I was thinking, you know, I haven't survived to live a half life and to live an empty life and to only do so much, which is why I coach women now, because I know what it's like to have that fire in your belly, to have that passion, that desire, and that knowing, and that inner knowing, to think, I know I'm worth more, I know I want more, but I just need help to get there. And so that's kind of like the Dragon's Den story. Would I do it again? Absolutely. Would I give them more shit? Absolutely. Because because I'm strong now. I wasn't strong there. I had so many things taking chunks off me, and I just wasn't strong. So the Claire in the Den, albeit yes, I was still me, and if you watch that now and you've seen me now here, you'll still see the same Claire. However, I'm more unshakable now through things that I've been through, and since having gone through that. So I would absolutely do it. It was amazing for brand awareness. It was amazing for me personally on a confidence perspective, because to go in there as raw and as naked as I felt, to come out, I mean, don't get me wrong, for a solid 2 weeks, I just cried, and I just was, the line I kept saying was, I'm just completely shit at life. Like, I am just completely, like, and that's what I was saying as well, like, it in terms of bouncing back, it's not letting things define you. Like I was saying, I was shit at life. I didn't have that capacity to look at the situation and think, well, that was a little bit shit, or that was a little bit tough. I took it all on board as me, as like I was lacking and I wasn't good, and that really did me in for quite some time. So I think that's a little tip that I would say to anybody. It's whatever's happening around you is happening to you. It's not you. You're not that circumstance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'd forgotten what you actually asked me about the den. But
no, that's fine. I mean, that got you going, didn't it? We heard all the story there. That's brilliant. I mean, you're so inspirational, Claire, and I'm sure everyone would agree. And you know, you opening up and being authentic like you are, and honest, and you, as you were in the den as well. And I think it's the first time I've ever seen the whole panel of dragons on Dragon's Den actually sympathise in the way that they did with you, and they were very sensitive and gentle with you. Whereas normally they go straight in, even if somebody is in a vulnerable position, they normally pounce, don't they? But with you, they really felt for you.
They did. I think they had respect, because we didn't, you know, I think the biggest thing people stumble on in the den is they don't know the numbers. Like, you've got to know your numbers. It's like a given. And I think if you don't know your numbers, when they're asking you, you know, what's your turnover, what's your gross profit, what's your, you know, how many listings have you got, how many bags have you sold, what's your projections, what you value your business at, if you go in with them like a Mickey Mouse valuation, and they ask you what your turnover was in the previous year and what your projections are for the coming year, if you don't know any of that, then I think you're fair game. And in all honesty, you should be fair game, because why would anybody want to invest in you if you've not got, you know, not got all your facts together? I get nerves come through, and believe me, I was so nervous. But you've got to know this stuff. If you know it, you know it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think,
well, they lose respect, don't they, straight away if you don't know your numbers, and also in you and the business.
Yeah, and you would, wouldn't you? I would. I'd be thinking, well, okay, you've fallen at the first hurdle. So yeah. So it was a really, really good thing, and it gave me a lot of experience in. And actually, at the end of it, although I went through the real dark times, and that's how I started, isn't it? When you're on, like, life will take you as far as you're willing to go. And because I had so much external pressure, my barometer of how low I was willing to go was completely shot. And believe me, it took me to the absolute floor again. And I was really annoyed at myself, because I vowed, after I'd had my blood clot, that I wouldn't let life take me there ever again. And kind of I'd lost, you know, I'd lost that promise to myself. And actually going to where we've just been with the pandemic, I think before, and I think a lot of people feel like this, I think before the lockdown happened, a lot of people had got on that relentless treadmill where we were willing to let life take us wherever it wanted to go. And I think, and again, I got a little bit annoyed at myself during lockdown, because I was actually grateful of the time to readdress and reassess and think. And again, I got a little bit annoyed at myself, because I thought, do you know what, Claire, you've done it again. You vowed to yourself in 2005 that you weren't going to go here, and then you let your business take you there before, you know, Dragon's Den, and then here we go again. You're almost getting yourself, you know, running to stand still again. So I think a lot of people during this lockdown time, and in the time that we're at now, it's a way to like make another promise to ourselves again, isn't it, about what we're going to put up with and what we're going to take. Yeah. And that's, like I say, I'd let life, you know, beat me too far down. But when I pieced myself back together again, in the weeks following the Den, I got this kind of almost titanium belief in myself again, like an inner thing. And I think you only get that, unfortunately, through the knocks and the chips and the hard times that we face. I think it's if you can get back up, and this is where sometimes, or most times, you need help. You know, I used to be so like, no, I can do it myself. And I used to see it as such a sign of weakness if I let anybody help me, or if I reached out for help, or if I didn't have the answer, or if I was facing tough things that I couldn't necessarily, you know, nail. But it's actually the other way around. It's so courageous, and it's so rewarding to ask for help and to enable somebody to help you. And I understand that now, but I didn't. So the Den gave me so much, in all honesty. It really did give me, you know, so much.
It sounds like it. And you know, when you actually did get that knockback and you didn't manage to get the investment in the Den, but you as you say, there's a lot of other positives that came from it in terms of experience, and that kind of thing, and also profile raising, you know, because you were still on TV and people still wanted to buy the crisps.
Totally. Yeah.
I guess my question on that is, when you said you came back with this titanium attitude after having a meltdown for a couple of weeks and really trying to get through it, what was it that really spurred you on? Would you say it was the knockback? So when you get knocked back, was it almost like a rebellion in you to say, right, I'm going to prove this to you now and I'm going to make it work?
It was a realization that I'm actually worth more, and it was a realization that we're not here forever. So, you know, I have this saying where, so I've got quite a few of what I call Claire's Diamonds in my book, and the digestible snippets, like inspirational quotes. And the opening one is, choose life, we're not here forever. So you never know what's around the corner. You know, when I go back to the fact that, you know, I have my blood clot, choose life, you know, we don't know what's happening. And I'd let life knock me a little bit. And I just remember kind of like, I remember being in a hotel room, because I don't forget, I still had my job, and I was still commuting, and I had to go see a stockist somewhere down near Reading, which is a 3.5 hour drive for me. And I remember that I got there, I got to the hotel room, and I was absolutely done, like done. I know it sounds dramatic, but I almost couldn't even feel my body. I was just that empty, that was just done. I was just done. And I just remember laying there, and I rang my dad, told him that I was shit at life, that I just couldn't cope anymore, couldn't do anything anymore. And he was like, look, just have some sleep, you know, you're not blah, blah. And then I remember laying there, and then just something clicked inside me, and I just thought, you know what, you're worth more. You're worth more. And I think when we can say to ourselves, see, for me, I didn't really care about any external validation. And I think if you rely on external validation, you've got a problem, because it can be easily taken away from you. So it wasn't anything external. It wasn't proving the Dragons wrong. However, but I did see Peter Jones about a year or 18 months after at St James's Palace, and that was quite sweet, I will tell you. And I've since met Deborah Meaden as a peer on food judging panel, and yeah, that was quite sweet. So I've since met, but it was not about that. It was about me. It was about feeling my own self-worth. And I think when you get that, then that's when life can look out, because you're back in control.
Absolutely.
So that's what kept me going, that I'm worth more. I'm worth more.
Yeah, and that basically transcends across everything in life, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I take it that that's what's really why you're doing what you're doing now with the business coaching, in particular coaching women.
Yeah.
Because as a woman in business, you've been through it yourself, so you feel that you can help others. I take it that that's what's really kind of encouraged you to do what you're doing now.
It is, and to be honest, it kind of found me, because when we sold the brand in 2016, I just naturally gravitated to working with food businesses. More and more, the food owners and founders were women, and then I branched out to work with product-based businesses as well, and more it was women. And I'll be honest, I just seem to, you know, work better, and not offending any guys on here, still work with guys if you if you do any coaching, but mainly it's ladies, and there's just this kinship where I just, not to go all woo-woo on you, but I can see them, I can see what they're capable of, I can see what they can't see, I can see that they just need that little bit of added confidence, or they just need, you know, someone to, you know, illuminate their thoughts with them and that sort of thing. And I just love it.
Relatability, isn't it? It's a relatability. If you've been there once before, you've got the story, and women are naturally going to gravitate towards you, some women, because they will see your story, be inspired by it, and want to know more, and want to be taught by someone that's been in the situation that they may be able to relate to, that they may be in right now. So I can see that they would be your perfect customer, as we all have to try and find our perfect customer.
Can I ask a couple of questions here?
Please do.
So I mean, wow. I mean, it's not just women that can be inspired by your story, right, Claire? Like, you are, yeah, wow. I would not want to mess with you anymore. The resilience is just, it's just there. But what I wanted to ask was a couple of things. As you were recounting the story and about the den, and then you mentioned you went for another investment option after that. I mean, two questions really. First of all, how painful was it eventually to come to the realization that maybe it was best to exit from that situation? And second question, so first of all, yeah, how painful was that? And second of all, what tips would you give to other people so that perhaps if they're looking to get investment, you know, they don't make any of the mistakes that you sort of admitted had happened? So those two questions really, pain and, you know, tips.
Okay, so first one, pain. I'd reached a natural place where barring being a millionaire, I'd achieved absolutely everything that I wanted to achieve with the brand. So I because like healthy snacking wasn't a thing in 2010 when I had my brainwave idea and stood on a market stall in East Yorkshire. And so I kind of like pioneered healthy snacking. We'd got the listings that we wanted. We'd brought healthy snacking to the marketplace, and in particular, we're, you know, educating kids about eating vegetables and bits and pieces. We'd done Dragon's Den. We'd raised the money. Our kids had a ball on the way. I launched a brand. So do you know what? It wasn't painful. I was really determined to put it in safe hands, because I just thought all this work and all this years and everything, all the graft and the heartache and everything that's gone into it, it would be unjust for it not to go on and continue. So I was really determined to make sure it went to safe hands, and it did do. And the new owners, you know, are responsible for taking it into quite a number of countries. Last count, it's on 21 countries now. So I didn't feel any pain at all. I just felt super proud. And I'm proud to this day of everything that we achieved with it. So, and also it enabled me to move on and do what I do now, because believe me, however much I enjoyed that, I absolutely adore what I do now. So no pain at all with that one. Secondly, in terms of the investors, now I'm really, really passionate about this, because depending on who you attract or who you pitch to or who you go with as an investor, I think it's always worth remembering it, like reverse engineer it. I'm such a big fan of looking at it from the other point of view and working it steps backward steps. So they know what they're looking for, okay? They know what your journey is going to take. So somebody could come to me today and say, right, okay, I want to, can you invest £50,000 in my brand? And I know for a fine fact it's going to take £100,000. Now, if I wasn't exactly honest and ethical, I might say to that person, yeah, sure, you know, and go in with a, yeah, I'll give you £50,000, but I want, I don't know, 30% equity. Knowing for a fine fact that 50,000 is only going to last them a year, and they're going to come knocking on my door for another 50, and then, by the way, I'll take 30%, so I've lost control of my company. So think about the long game and really think about what investment you need. And also what I would say is ask yourself, what do you want investment for and how much? Don't go underfunded, because that's when you go back with your begging bowl and you've got potential to lose control from a share perspective. But also, why do you want the investment? Do you want somebody involved in the business, or do you want somebody to just be sort of like detached from the business? In hindsight, I should have worked with somebody. So sort of two things: should have sold less equity for more money, because I was underfunded ultimately, ended up over trading and got into a whole host of different problems to do with cash flow and to do with all sorts of things. And secondly, I should have had, given my temperament and my personality and my entrepreneur vibe and how I like to operate, I should have had somebody who wasn't going to try and get involved in the business and just literally sit there at a board level. But I didn't. I chose the wrong people. So it's about knowing yourself as a person when you're looking at who to take on as an investor. What do you want from them? What's the long game? How much realistically do you want to retain control of your business? And really looking at what they're going to bring to the business. I would say never go just looking for the money from an investor. If you just want your money, crowdfund. Don't bring an investor on board if it's literally just the money, because you can buy the experience that you want. If you know what I mean, depending on what you're wanting from it, that's how you're going to choose which route you're going to go down. So there's a lot to say really on investment, and I'm super passionate when people are, you know, getting what I call legged over, because I've saved quite a few brands from making the very same mistake I made. I can see it in my life when you've got investors who are playing this game.
That's awesome. I'm so pleased that, you know, the answer to your first question was one of positivity. I sold a business and it was like my child was being ripped away from me. But it was the right thing to do for me and for the business. And, you know, it worked out great for me. But like, as you say, you know, I'm glad that yours was a positive experience. Mine was positive as well, but it was kind of just still like really hard to kind of let go sometimes of certain things. So yeah, awesome. Fiona, what other questions have we got for Claire?
Oh, gone. Yeah, so questions then. I can see a few on here. There's a few people that have said, well, Victoria said she had goosebumps when you were talking, Claire. And a few people agreed with that as well. Very powerful, says Anika. So yeah, questions then. Claire just mentioned her book, Victoria says, and says, I bought a copy when I met her at Welbeck and we were speakers on a course. Here's the link. Oh, thank you for sharing that. We'll have a look then. Yes, because Claire, you've got a book as well. So you're not only are you everything else, but you're also an author.
Yeah, I love that. She was, oh, hang on, show yourself, Claire, speak. So that
there we go. The winning mix, is that?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So this is, like I say, it's about launching and growing a food business. However, it really links over to anything, because it's my story of what I did, and you've got all your inspirational diamondy quotes and bits and pieces. So it is really, you know, if you're ever having a time when you're thinking, I'm shit at life, or I can't do it, or my back's against the wall, you know, guarantee if you read this, it'll perk you right up, because you probably won't be in as bad a place as I was at that
Brilliant.
time.
And you can get that through that link on Amazon.
Yeah.
I love that. You're just talking, you're just like, oh yeah, in the book, like, you know, there's a couple of things in the book. I bet it's awesome. Let's go and get it, folks. Let's do that. See the
I definitely will be. So does anybody have any questions while we before we wrap up with Claire and move on to Tim? Does anybody have any questions for Claire? Obviously you can pop them in the live chat, or you can raise your hand, or you can put your little blue hand up with the emoji. If not, you can have a think and we can come back at the end. Either way, it's not a problem. But thank you so much, Claire, for sharing your story. I could talk to you literally for a lot longer, but we were quite limited on time, unfortunately.
No, you're very welcome. Thank you.
Yes, but you're sticking around, aren't you? So,
yes, I am. Yeah.
Good. Right. So let's move on to our second speaker, if we can hear him. Tim, can we hear you?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You've done it. Success.
Amazing.
I love how you just built that up. Like, you did that deliberately, didn't you?
I don't know.
There was this like pause, like X Factor pause there, wasn't there?
Or rubbish Derbyshire internet, one or the other.
Is that where you are at in Derbyshire?
Yeah.
That's not his fault, folks.
No. I married a Derbyshire girl by accident, and here I am.
By accident, right? Okay. Brilliant. So at least we can hear you now. I won't do the intro again, so hopefully everybody can hear what a fabulous guy you are. And yeah, so you've got something to chat to us about for what, about 5 or 10 minutes?
Yeah, not long, a few minutes.
And then we can go to some questions and have a bit of a chat after.
Yep.
We're going to talk about comeback strategies today, aren't we, and have a conversation. So over to you, Tim.
Awesome, thank you very much. So for you guys who don't know me, I would have been to more RSVIP events, but my daughter needs a dad taxi every Thursday evening, which has taken over my life. But she's 13 now, so she's going to drive in about 3 years.
Right, I'll hold you to that one then.
Time, I reckon. So I'll be back in 3 years' time.
Okay, looking forward to that then in 3 years. Yeah.
So let's get on with some ideas about bounce back strategy. So strategy is one of those weird words that's kind of misused and misunderstood a lot. So I thought we'd start off by defining what a strategy is, right? So the best definition of a strategy that I've come across is an overarching policy for dealing with a challenge, right? And challenge is one of my favorite words, right? It's the one that we want to focus on first. So when I say challenge, it means problem, and the flip side of that coin, opportunity, right? I like reframing problems and opportunities as challenges because challenges inspire us more to action, right? And whatever your experience over the last few months has been, because I know from conversations that everybody's had a slightly different experience. I bet we've all faced a challenge, right? We've all faced a problem or an opportunity. And I know sometimes when we're faced with problems, it's hard to see the other side of that coin, right? It's hard to spot the opportunity for all the problem in front of us. But my first kind of is to use a little design thinking tool to reframe problems as challenges, right? And it's called how might we? So for example, how might we keep our productivity levels up while working from home or not back in the office? How might we? And then the challenge statement. It always helps leaders and entrepreneurs and myself, if I'm honest, when faced with a problem, when they're feeling a bit stuck, which everybody does now and again, to think differently, to have a different perspective on the problems. So that's my first tip. Use a little how might we. If you're stuck at a problem, or if you're just having one of those stuck moments, stick a how might we in front of it, and it's really good. So onwards onto kind of strategy, really. Right, so as I said, that everybody's experience, like I've had a lot of good conversations over the past few months with my connections, with my friends, with clients, with former clients and stuff like that. And I've realized that everybody's experience of this COVID era that we're in has been different. Look at my trade for one, for marketing. I know people in marketing that have hardly had any work. I know people who've had to close their agencies, right? And I know people who've been busier than ever. There's very little commonality in the experience that we have, apart from, of course, the cause of the situation, this little virus that we all think. So with that in mind, there can't be any one-size-fits-all solutions, right? There can't be a one-size-fits-all strategy. In fact, when you come to strategy, there's never a one-size-fits-all strategy, right? There's never a household solution that we can whack on it. But there are things that have always worked, have continued to work through COVID times, or whatever we call it, this era, and will always continue to work, right? And that's the main thing I want to share today, these three little things. So number one is you've got to understand the long and the short of it. I know Claire just mentioned they're having a long-term view, right? And I echo that totally, right? And the long and the short of it, if any other marketers are in the house, I'm sure you'll recognise it from the work of Field and Burnett and the book of the same name. But my idea here is to have long-termism, right? Great brands and great businesses are built over time, right? There's a really famous analogy that, you know, there's a 20-year overnight success, right? So you've got to keep focused on the long term, even though currently the short term is more challenging than it usually is, right? Having a long-term view, whether it's a goal, it could just be a big, hairy, audacious goal, right? An exit plan or a revenue or a growth goal. It could be a purpose, right? It could be a mission or a cause that you're on. But you need to keep focus on that long-term thing, even though the short term is super sticky and super difficult, because that long-term goal, having a real good long-term goal, should be further enough away and hefty enough that you can't be shifted easily by all the stuff that's happening in the immediate time. But then there's the short of it that you've got to understand, right? Having short-term activations and short-term goals and knowing the baby steps you've got to take to get to that long-term goal help us succeed with long-term. You can't have long-term success without the short-term, without going through baby steps, right? And I've done a bit of innovation work with clients over the last couple of months, and there's a little tool that they work that we use in there, and I want to share that with you now, and it's called Horizons. Right, so every company has 3 horizons. Your first horizon is pretty close, right? First horizons are what we've been working with mainly over COVID times. So I would say a first horizon should be about a quarter, maybe the rest of this year, right? And that should guide you to your long-term goal, but can be super changeable. It gets you through the next 90 days, right? Because every small business needs to think in 90-day windows, because that's usually when a small business's pipeline kind of dries up and stuff like that. So you want your first horizon to be pretty reachable and pretty immediate and super detailed. Your next horizon will be, say, a year away, another 12 or 18 months away from where you are now, right? And that horizon can be slightly less detailed because, you know, we haven't got a crystal ball. We don't see into the future. We can't be as detailed as we can in Horizon 1, but it should also point us to where we want to go. Give us a little win along the way, right? Make sure we're on the right step to this long-term goal. And then Horizon 3 is your long-term goal, right? Your big thing. I've worked with companies whose long-term goal, Horizon 3 is 25 years. But, you know, as long as it's a big thing, as long as that's the thing you want to aim for, it keeps you focused. You can be changed, right, in your Horizon 1, in the actions you take to get to Horizon 1, as we've all had to change stuff, right? Both me and Matt work in a similar way, right? We used to workshop with real life people and leadership groups in rooms where we all breathe the same air. And we've had to kind of change that to kind of Zoom and Teams. God, I'm glad we're not on Teams, by the way. What a horrible piece of platform. But by the way, side note. But these long-term goals, right, will keep you focused. So I reckon if you use Horizons to keep you focused, even if your short-time current situation is a bit sticky and full of problems, right? Aiming for something long-term, having little wins along the way, Horizon 1, Horizon 2, Horizon 3 is a great little tip. And I've used that with a lot of clients over this last few months. And next up is simple, right? It's communication. Communication has never gone out of fashion and will never not work. And I'll use this little bit of time to focus specifically on story. Right, so story has long been used by businesses to communicate change, right? And it will align the people inside your organization to change and align the people outside your organization to change, your customers, those who you choose to serve, right? And that's super important, to have a narrative that clearly communicates any changes you have to make at a business, especially like in the early days of COVID time. I remember watching back, things changed like every 48 hours. There was a pivot, there was a change, right? So the communication had to be super clear on why you're changing, what the change is for, and it's all right, you're still on mission for the long-term goal. But using story or narrative is a great way to communicate change clearly and effectively. But I know what you're all thinking. How do we tell a story, right? And story is a massive rabbit hole. Both I and Mr. Davis over there could take you down for many, many days in a row, which we don't have that amount of time. So I've got a quick and dirty version of story that probably make Matt grimace a little bit, I imagine. But if you answer 3 questions about the change with an idea at the center of it, what you're trying to communicate, you'll have the basics of a narrative or a commercial story. And those 3 questions are: what was? So what used to be the situation? What was the status quo? What is now? What's happening now? And that what is bit is the bit where you empathize and you resonate with your audience of who you're telling the story. But the most important one is what could be, right? Where are we going? It's all right, we're still aiming for the long-term goal. It's okay, we'll be back to business as normal as soon as we can, right? You've got to give people hope and inspiration, inform them that it's going to be all right, and people will be empathetic back to you, right? If you're good at communicating clearly. So that's my tip on story. What was, what is, and what could be. And the final bit before we head back to Fiona is, we're all in the relationship business, right? You are, I am, everybody is in the relationship business. Now, what do I mean about that? There's a really old saying that has always been at the tip of my tongue, right? I can't remember how much I've said it in mentoring and stuff like that. And that is, your net worth is in your network, right? And to have a good relationship with your network, you need to work at relationships, right? You need to build business relationships. That's what RSViP is all about, right? Building good, trusted business relationships. I had some interesting conversations at the beginning, you know, in late March, early April, when all we knew was there was a bunch of unknown unknowns. That's kind of all we had in our heads, right? And I said to a few of the people I was mentoring and colleagues and connections that there's one thing for sure that's going to make it through, that's going to survive this period of unknown business weirdness. And that's the deeper business relationships. If you had a business where your relationships are kind of transactional, a bit shallow, they're the ones that are more likely to die. They're the ones who aren't able to overcome the challenges with you, right? Or to support you when you come over the challenges. It's the deeper, more trusted business relationships that will make it through. And that is as true now as it will ever be, but it's also a really good kind of mantra and motto and thing to focus on in normal times, right? And there's a few surefire ways of building great business relationships, and one of them is, and I've always been a fan of this, is have good conversations, right? I've had one of my favorite things, if we're allowed to say we've got a favorite thing about COVID, bit weird thing to say, but is having telephone conversations. I seem to have stopped having telephone conversations, right? I've been on the phone I think I was on the phone for Matt for about an hour one day. Like really good telephone conversations when there's no distractions like Zoom and reminders on your screen. You're just there to listen and to speak, right? And the quality of a good conversation with the right people, with a trusted your network or community or audience, will help cement, build that relationship, right? Will help build that relationship. And that's kind of it. That's why having good conversations, telling the right stories, right? And remaining a bit steadfast, having some resilience and self-belief that your long-term goal hasn't shifted just because the last few months have been a bit weird, right? It's still a feasible thing. It should be big and long enough away that you still get to do it. and remember your networks and your network people. I think that's all my words, Fiona, if you want to come back.
No, that's absolutely brilliant. Very inspiring there, Tim. Thank you. You've had so many good one-liners in there that I feel like I'm glad we've recorded this, because these could be your new strap lines. I mean, there were so many of them. You're like a walking marketeer.
I don't like that one about the network, Fiona. I thought I could see that just underneath.
Your network is your net worth. Yeah.
You can't
pay Tim for that later.
You can't come to RSViP and not big up networks, right? What a faux pas that is.
Absolutely. All the right things to get in my good books tonight, definitely. And I think I picked up on loads of good stuff in that, and I think you've really cleverly summed up a lot of different elements in that talk in just 10 minutes. You really covered a lot, but I think it was really impactful.
Thank you.
And what I liked is your storytelling, and I know that's something you're focusing on a lot at the moment. I know you've got a workshop coming up, which I've booked onto, storytelling with purpose, because that's something that I'm really into, this whole storytelling thing. Obviously, authenticity, storytelling, telling conversations, how to tell your story, how to write your story. So I'm really looking forward to your workshop, which is, when is it? Tell us when it is, in case anybody else.
Early September, isn't it? Hold on one second. Hold on, let me have a look. I've got one, I think it's the 7th.
Yeah, I'm on the one on the 9th of September.
9th.
In the morning, 9:30 till 12:30.
Yes, the 9th, that's the one.
Yeah, and it's been through the big house, isn't it?
Through the big house, yeah, so it's free. You get a story workshop for free, which they are not usually, which is good. But I did a little talk. They did a lunchtime lockdown thing at the CQ in Nottingham. Yes. And I did a talk on the topic, and they asked me to bulk it out into a workshop.
I was there. It was brilliant. It was absolutely fantastic. Tim, a few people have asked for a link to that. If you get a chance,
I will ferret around now. Yeah.
Grab that link. Yeah.
It's definitely a topic that you can really get, a meaty topic, isn't it? That you can really get stuck into. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what you've got to say on that. Being a writer myself, I do a lot of writing, and I feel like the storytelling element of anything, whether you're public speaking or writing, is really important to remember.
Yeah.
So, folks, Tim's popped up the link there, particularly perhaps interesting to Anika, who has requested that. And yeah, the whole thing about communication as a key thing for us to focus on in these times, I think is really, really valid. And, storytelling is how we as humans create meaning in our minds. So the narrative that businesses are putting out to their people, to, going back to what Claire was saying, just the narrative you tell yourself is so powerful. So reframing problems into challenges, and redefining and taking control of that narrative have got to be a key way forward. So let's all jump onto Tim's workshop. There you go, Tim. Hopefully you've got another 100 or so folks to talk to then. I was going to say, Fiona, can I ask a couple of quick questions?
Yeah, go for it.
So, Tim, the whole idea of the long and short of it, we had a few comments around the 3 horizons and, using that as a kind of a tool. How do you advise business leaders? I think the long term you sort of mentioned, we've got a long-term 20-year plus goal for the brand. We know we want to go. The other 2 are really tricky, aren't they? So how do you sort of advise people, if they're getting together within their teams, or even if they're a small business owner themselves, to even sort of start forecasting the next 90 days? How do you do you have any thoughts on how people should go about the shorter term ones?
Yeah, it's super tricky, right? Especially in the last few months, and probably for the next 18 months, right? It's really tricky to do any forecasting with certainty, I would say, right? So you've got to be comfortable. Again, like similar to what Claire said, right? You've got to be okay with making some assumptions, right? You've got to have self-belief that you know your business better than anyone, and you can assume a few things, a few certainties. But I would start with making the goals and then reverse engineering the actions you have to take to do it, right? If you start trying to plan forward and see into the future, it's really, really difficult for a lot of small businesses. If you start with where you want to go and work backwards, again, Claire said about the know the path you're on or the road you're on, I think, Claire. If you know where that road is going to take you, you can figure out what steps along it you have to take. And if there's a weird kink or a big cowpat in the middle that you have to go around, then that's cool, right? But you can map that out. And that's why we use Horizons 1 and 2, because 90 days is achievable. Like all of us on here know how quickly 90 days goes in a business, right? It's not a long time. Like 3 months flies by. It's a really short window. So it is more detailed plan, right? You can map out what you've got, who's got to do what has to be true in those 2 windows in Horizon 1 and 2 for me to get to this point, right? If you focus on what has to be true, right? The core bits, all the other bits you can be agile about, you can change around, you can be flexible if something weird happens. But if you know the core fundamentals of what has to be true, then that's the way I would do it. Focus on those bits first.
Brilliant, thank you.
Great. And I've got a question as well, Tim. Just a general question really to summarise. For the benefit of everybody on here tonight, what's one of the main priorities that we should be focusing on right now as of when we log off tonight, tomorrow, Monday morning, whatever? We're all looking to bounce back in business, whatever different challenges we're all facing right now. As you mentioned, we're all in different situations. But what's the one thing that you would advise we focus on first? I
would say have a plan or a strategy with a goal, with a measurable goal at the end of it, right? Even if it's really, really simple, achievable goal, even if you think it is, like the confidence you have from having a plan written down or in whatever format you like your planning, in a deck, right? Having a plan written down in front of you that you can, first thing you do before you check your email or your Instagram in the morning is just have a scan of this one pager, right? Don't be ridiculous. Don't have 14,000 words, right? Have it on a page or in a side of your notebook or something, right? But have something you can check on, right? Keep getting it into your head, because that repetition just works and it makes it stick. And be all right.
Makes you accountable, right? I guess.
Yeah, it makes you accountable, and you've got to be accountable to yourself, right? If you've got teams and colleagues and employees, you have to tell the right story clearly and effectively. And if you don't have a plan as a leader, right, or of people, or to your customers, if you're not got the clarity of yourself to communicate clearly, then it will show, and that will affect the relationships, right? You at least need that to build trust. Like, trust is super important in these days, more than ever, I would say.
Yeah. Tim, thank you very much for your time. Amazing as always. Thank you.
Very much.
Matt, any comments or questions?
Yeah, there were a few. You know, the link that you posted, Tim, very kindly. Obviously, we got you off the bat. Doing that quite quickly. For some reason, there's a problem booking. Some people have actually tried to book as you were speaking, right? And I think there's a problem with the link. So a few folks have just asked whether we can get straight onto the big house. Your good buddy Paul, I think, has found it. So if you could just confirm, Tim, that Paul's comment on the chat is the right one.
Yeah, that's it. There's two, so that's the creative leadership one. I'll just put the story one in, but the big house booking process on their website is a bit temperamental. So if you can't get on, either message me or email me or something, and I will message Tamily and make sure you're registered, because I've done a bunch of stuff for big house, and sometimes registration is not as seamless as it should be.
Is the big house related to the Creative Quarter, Tim?
Kind of. It's a slightly different organisation. So it covers Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire. So both of them, and it's to support the creative community. So Creative Quarter is specifically Nottingham, but they work it's the same people.
Yeah, because we're all entitled to be a part of the big house, because I've signed up, and it's free to sign up. You just have to go through a process of filling in a form, and then you get given a certain amount of free hours to spend as you wish, as such, don't you, on different workshops or masterclasses, seminars, etc. And when those hours are up, those hours are up, kind of thing. But it's a really good portal to access. I've accessed a few webinars and spoke on a few webinars for them as well, and it's just a really good support network, I think, as well, and platform to access lots of interesting things, as with your upcoming webinar that I'm looking forward to. So thanks for that again, Tim. Yes. And Claire as well, thank you so much for sharing today. Do we have any final questions at all for either of the speakers? Anybody thought of anything else that they might want to ask or comment?
Quiet this time round, you know, like,
I know, very much so.
Have just been so great that they've covered off everybody's questions before they've come into their minds. But yeah, there's just a small one, Tim, for you, about your workshop again. Someone's just wondering whether you'll record it. I'm not sure that's a thing, but
they record it. I don't know if they distribute it, but what I do, I publish the deck and write a blog about the words, because the deck obviously doesn't have the words from me on it.
You've got to go to it. You've got to experience Tim in action. That's what I say.
3 hours of Tim on Zoom. 3 hours of Tim on Zoom.
Yeah, brilliant. Oh yeah, so that's it. I don't think we've got any other questions.
No. So that's two things then we need to do, is we need to book onto Tim's workshop if we haven't already, and we also need to purchase Claire's book, whose link is also on there. So that's all the plugs done now. No more plugs.
we got to download your stuff as well, Fiona.
Oh yes, of course. Don't forget about me.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking. Like, yeah, don't forget your stuff.
Yeah,
we've got to do that. You're going to post that on the chat as well. I mean, you know, this is what we try and do. We're trying to connect people.
I'll do that now.
Are we going to do anything else after this? Because sometimes we've done some networking and breakout rooms and stuff. Are we going to do that, do you think?
Yes, but before we do, I'm going to actually, is Amanda here now? Amanda Thompson, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
So Amanda is from the Nottingham Trent University Business School, joining us. I think it's your first time on one of our online events, isn't it, Amanda?
Yeah, it is. I've been listening all the way through. It's really interesting.
Ah, good. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. I know you wanted to share with us some information about a new initiative at the university that we could all potentially get involved with if of interest, called the MBS Bright. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah, thank you for giving me some access to your members. It's great to see you in action. And I guess it leads really nicely on from what Tim was just saying as well, because it's about challenges. So it's about business challenges, which I guess with the current COVID situation and perhaps on the back of Brexit, etc., lots of organisations are facing challenges. And those sort of big major global shocks have perhaps prompted more challenges than normal. So what we're doing this coming autumn term with our intake of final year business school students, so that's a whole range of students, about 1,800 students in total, in fact, so it's a big project. Economics, HR, entrepreneurship, accounting and finance, straight business, international business. So all of our students are going to be involved across all courses. And it's an opportunity for organisations to submit challenges. So those kinds of how might we questions, we could get groups of final year undergrad business school students supported by their tutors working on those challenges for organisations. And all you have to do is submit a challenge through our portal. So the information's on the NTU Services for Businesses website. And I've got loads of tech issues today. My Mac's been taken into the dock. So I think I sent you the links, Fiona, earlier in an email.
Yeah.
I don't know whether, can you pop them in the chat? I don't know whether you could put
no problem.
those links in the chat. And effectively, it's a sort of virtual challenge. So the intrusion into your business would be quite minimal. But really it's called MBS Bright because it's about, you know, bright minds, tackling issues and challenges within your organisations to promote a sort of brighter future for businesses. So any challenges really about market share, about footfall, HR, working from home, you know, accounting and finance type challenges, broader economic questions, you know, really anything that an organisation is grappling with. And what the students will do is, over a period of time in the autumn term, they will do some analysis, do some fact finding, do some research, and provide a PowerPoint with a voiceover and notes pages and a costed action plan in terms of some solutions for businesses.
Brilliant. I'm just going to put the link in now, actually, while you were speaking. Sorry, is that everything that you wanted to talk about there, Amanda? Yeah.
I'm happy to take any questions if people have got questions, but I didn't want to take up too much of your time.
No, not at all.
The challenge is, does this become part of their course, the business students' courses, or is this something that you're doing just to offer, you know, the services of the students wider, or what's the
context for it? Yeah, it's in a module. So we have a final year personal development module called Developing Professional Impact. So it's really seeking to make sure that all our graduates are ready for employment as they leave their degrees. So giving them a sort of real life business challenge is part of sort of setting them up to go on and do great things once they've left us. But they bring all their experience to bear from their first year, second year. Around 400 or 500 of them will have been out on placement as well. So they've got some recent work experience. And it's group work that's embedded in that module, counts for 40% of that module.
Mm. And in terms of the module, I see Fiona has popped it on there, but I had one final question, if you don't mind. Is it for big businesses, or is it for sort of smaller businesses as well?
Any businesses really. I mean, I'm looking at the moment at the spreadsheet of the submissions that have come in. We've had 12 submissions from Fujitsu, so, you know, major global player. But equally, we've had some from sole traders and small organisations. So the breadth, really. Fantastic.
I think it's brilliant. Like, I think you're doing a great job of getting those students out there in the wild, if you like, because business is not always easy, as we've heard today from Claire and also, you know, from Tim. So I think it's great that you're getting people out. So keep doing what you're doing, and, you know, I guess you can't always learn business from a textbook. You've got to get out there and do it. So great, you know.
Yeah, and it's also a bit of mutual benefit. So a bit of free consultancy, a different perspective for organisations as well, to get some sort of young people's perspectives. Yeah.
And I second that. I can't recommend working with the NTU and the business school enough. I've worked with you guys for probably about 5 or 6 years now as part of the alumni fellowship scheme, as I know Matt has as well, and, you know, ran various workshops with the students. And it's so rewarding working with the students, because not only can you share your expertise with them, but you learn so much from them as well. So it's a real nice, mutually beneficial setup that you've got there at the business school. So I'm always for supporting the projects where I can. So I'll certainly be looking at that one myself, and hopefully you'll get a few more sign-ups after today, Amanda. So thank you.
Thanks very much. Closes on the 7th. September.
Right, that's good to know. Great.
Getting quick, folks. Getting quick.
Definitely. Yeah. Right then. So I wouldn't mind a quick Zoom wave. Gemma, are you there? Can we have a little photo?
Hang on a second. Hang on. Let me make sure it's a gallery view.
Yeah.
There we go.
If we get on the gallery view and just have
Is this like a Instagram moment that we're just going to?
Yeah, I think this is just a little hashtag kind of Zoom wave moment.
Instagram moment. Like,
I just want to wake you all up. Those of you that Paul, you look a bit relaxed there.
All right, do your hair, guys, if you've got any. I mean, me and Tim are struggling.
I'm going to try 2 things. I'm going to try screenshotting, and I'm going to try shooting. Okay, so.
Okay. So you tell us when, count us down, and then we'll just do I wrote a bit of an article, a fun article about this month, actually, about all the kind of observations I noticed about Zoom and what we do. And we do that geeky Zoom wave, don't we, at the end, before we all log
I just love the shameless self-promotion of Claire then. Do it, Claire. It's great.
Yeah. Anybody else got any marketing material they want to hold up at this point? Because it is going to be all over social media, then feel free.
Love it.
Are you ready for us, Jem?
Yeah.
All right.
Ready?
You're going to have to do it for about 10 seconds.
10
Yeah?
seconds.
Let's go for 5.
All
Oh, we
right.
can do that, guys. We've got stamina. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Go.
Let's go. Come on. Yeah, get him up. Woo!
Keep going, keep going.
Tim's face. Tim, I cannot cope with that face, man.
Ah, the little chat popped up. Hang on.
Oh, keep going, guys. Stamina.
Keep going. Longevity and all that.
I love Eloise. She just can't be bothered. Eloise, come on. Come on, Eloise. You can do it.
How are you, Eloise?
Come on. You can do it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
Oh, man. Right. I'm exhausted now.
I know, same. Right. I haven't got a gin tonight. I've got water. I'm being a bit boring. Is anybody else joining in on normal RSVIP alcohol? No?
No, I nearly went for it, but I just thought it's raining. It doesn't feel the same.
It doesn't, and we're doing it a bit earlier, aren't we?
We are.
As well, normally it'd be nearly 8 o'clock by now, but yeah. So are we doing the breakout sessions now then, Matt? For those
Yeah.
who
What does
want to
everyone
join
think? So, just to kind of give everybody a heads up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open randomly a number of rooms. There's going to be between 2 to 3. Well, let me just keep going. Right, 3 participants per room, and the aim of the game here is this is just a bit of kind of taking the offline world online, right? So you're going to be randomly placed in a breakout room. So if you end up with someone you don't like, don't blame me. It's the computer. It's random. And what we want really is for people to kind of discuss a particular question together, which I'm hoping Fiona has thought of or will think of very swiftly as she suddenly scrambles around. Got any thoughts? What could we do? I've got an idea if you don't have one.
Yeah, go on then.
Well, there we are. Whoa, it's come back at me. I was thinking, like, what Tim was talking about was, particularly pertinent to everybody at the moment. So I think we should ask ourselves this question. As we all start to think about bouncing back, of getting up and getting back into the world, as it were, going out there, what are the key things that are on your mind at this moment in time? So let's ask each other, as we're going back, what are the key things on our minds? And let's start with that question, and hope you have fantastic and exciting conversations. I'll see you in your breakout room. I'm going to hit the button. You'll be asked to accept. So obviously accept, but give yourself a few minutes. If nobody else comes into that room, I'll try and keep an eye on it so that you're not on your own if you are. All right. So see you in there.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks,
I'm opening
Matt.
those rooms now. So if you just want to jump in and join them, that's awesome.
No, it's
What made it so bad?
oh, it's a techie issues on the telecoms side. There was a fire in one of the London housing centres,
Oh, no.
which locked out a whole load of client phone systems, basically. So
Oh gosh. So what next? What do you have to do to sort it all out?
Oh, there's nothing I can do. It's all out of my hands. It's fire brigades and geeky people down at London Centre that have got to put it right, you know. So I spent all day trying to deal with client problems, but there you go.
Oh well, it's nice to sort of like maybe take your brain out of it for a little bit, isn't it?
I don't know about that. The problems will still be there tomorrow if they've not resolved them. So hey ho. But anyway, enough of me. I'm honoured to be here with 3 big hitters.
Look at that! You've got the panel. So to speak.
I don't know how this happened. Like I was like, I just kind of randomly assigned everybody, and I thought, oh my days, look, Tim and Claire are in the same one. Like, what on earth? That shouldn't have happened. But anyway,
I'm going in that one.
I was originally in room 3, but I think someone had to go sort the kids out. Somebody had to go do something else, and so.
Oh yeah, I think I reassigned. I'm trying to keep an eye on it. It's so tricky hosting these things, right? Because obviously, as soon as you do networking, breakout rooms, some people are like, don't want to talk to people, and then they just leave. So as soon as you mention it, you just see people jumping like anything. So yeah, so it's very tricky. But no, I'm glad we're on the Zoom. What's on your brain, Tim, as we bounce back then? I know you've given us your thoughts, but what are you thinking?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, Tim too.
Oh, there's 2 Tims. Well,
This one?
Yeah, that one.
Right. Do you know what? I the last couple of days I've done my first in real life piece of work again. Which was interesting. So relearning that skill, because it is different, facilitating in real life. You have to wear, well, I believe you can't wear shorts in a real life meeting. That's just a bit weird. Whereas before, I've just worn shorts. So I had to wear jeans for the 3rd time since March the 13th, which I'm disappointed about.
So they're still fit?
Yeah. Well, I'm smaller. I'm a smaller version than I was. Because I have more time to do stuff in the morning. So now I've changed a bit weirdly. I've gone into yoga and breath work, and I'm now on my 3rd week of vegetarianism. So I don't know what's happened.
How are you finding that?
Yeah, it's good. I even made my wife bacon and didn't want any.
Wow.
Which is a strong look, isn't it? It's strong.
So what made you decide to go veggie?
Well, I'm the cook, right? I do all the cooking because my wife's rubbish at it. So I do all the cooking, and I just enjoyed cooking, like, because we've got more time to cook. Like, I've been making everything from fresh, and the vegetable stuff was just nice though. I was a bit over meat, so thought, my daughter's vegetarian, so we eat vegetarian a bit anyway. So it wasn't like a massive change. So I just thought, do you know what, I'm going to try it for a week, and then it was all right. So I'm now here. I don't know if it's militantly the same. I don't have any. I'm not militantly against animals or for animals, whatever the right one is. But it's good. It's good. I feel good. I've had it's been nice. But apart from sticking to vegetarianism and going back to the real world, where I think some of my clients who have been stuck in offices or stuck out of offices, who are relishing getting back in offices, are starting to request like going for a coffee and stuff. And I'm going, well, I don't know if I want to go for a coffee. Like, can't we just have a call? Do I really need to go to another city for a coffee? No. Sure.
Do you know, I'm going to really think twice if anybody wants to drag me to a meeting. You know, I'm thinking, well, it's kind of like really made this other way of life acceptable, hasn't it? And it's been proven it can work. So when you think about your time and you're thinking about, you know, what it takes to go and do that, it's going to be something to think about really going forward for me.
Yeah, for sure. I've started doing a bit of work. Well, I think I was doing some before, but now I'm doing like quite a lot globally, right? So I'm really not looking forward to the time when someone says, hey, can we go to Stockholm and have a meeting? Because I'm going to be like, no, why would we want to do that? Like the amount of time we'd waste and the environment and stuff. So I'm with you. Let's stick doing it via Zoom most of the time.
Yeah, my in-life peace meet was in Little Eaton, which is about 6 miles away from me in Derbyshire. So I was like, all right, yeah, I'll do that one. But I've got some coming up in London, which is like south of the river, which I'm going, I don't know if I want to go to London. Like it's 160 quid, and because I like first class, so it's 160 quid, and I've got to stay over like 2 nights. Like it's quite a bit. So it feels like a major effort.
Unlike you guys, I've been working like this for the last 10 years. So
you're like, welcome to the party.
Yeah, not a lot's changed for me, really. You know?
I missed the start of the call, Tim. What is it that you do?
I'm a digital marketer.
All right.
I focusing predominantly with local businesses these days, but my background covers 40 years of walking the path of entrepreneurialism through financial planning, telecommunications, and digital marketing. But the core that runs through all of those is sales and marketing, because that's my training.
Nice, awesome. So, are you sort of a lone gunslinger, or do you, do you kind of work in a team, or?
No, these days I'm more of a lone gunslinger with hired help. I don't have staff anymore. I don't use an office. I just use with a network of people that if there's a project to be done that I need external forces, then we're all connected. So it doesn't matter whether they're in the UK or worldwide. So that's how I work, and have done, as I say now, for the past 10 years or so. And it's very liberating having not to jump in your car and get on the A52 or the A46 every day and go through the traffic and so on and so forth. So yes, it's been quite interesting watching people adapt to the new world.
Yeah.
I think I'd like a blend. I don't think I could live completely like this forever, but I don't want to go back to how it was before, because it was in those it's like you just said, Tim, you're bombing up and down on the trains, you're staying here, you're doing all this, and you just think I got to the point like why I need to really address what I'm doing. And then for me, I felt quite lucky when it hit, when the lockdown happened to a degree, because I thought, phew, I've got an excuse now to have a think, take a step back, jump off the hamster wheel. And so I don't want to go back to that, but I don't want to remain completely on Zoom and online. I just would like a nice blend, but to be in control of that blend, I think.
No, I mean, if you can take one positive out of COVID, it is a reset button, hitting the reset button, and there are fantastic opportunities now for everybody if we all think positively.
Yeah, and if you look for the, it's like anything, isn't it? If you grieve over, what you can't have or what's gone, or, and don't embrace. But unfortunately, some people, really don't like change. They've got like a fixed mindset, haven't they? I think people will struggle if they've not got that mindset, both personally and in the business. And I think, that's going to be a big thing for some people and some business owners to overcome. But I think there's a lot of positives. I know we're in for an absolute roller coaster from an economy point of view, and who knows what's going to happen in terms of the actual disease. But I think if you approach it with an open growth mindset, there's a lot of positives for everyone, isn't there, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the biggest thing on your mind at the moment, Claire, in terms of the bounce back, in terms of your work?
Well, mine's been really positioning myself as, more as a coach as opposed to a mentor and a consultant purely in products and food. Because in all honesty, I wasn't stretched, and I felt quite bored with it. And I knew that you know, there was more I could do with people. So I'm at the moment, I'm training to get my ICF accreditation, which is International Coaching Federation. So I'm trained and accredited anyway, but I want that seal, that stamp of approval, because, you know, I have got my eyes set on doing more corporate, you know, corporate coaching and group coaching and things like that. So it's really cementing myself in this new identity that I've got, mainly working with, you know, ambitious women and business women, with women business owners and their teams and things. So that's what's on my mind. But like you, Tim, I work in that. I don't know if you can see that on my wall. It's a framed 90-day plan. Literally, it's just glazed and framed, and I literally wipe it down, work with it, wipe it down, do it again. It's like 90 days. That's literally, and that's what I work with all my clients. Like, right, it's nail your 90 days.
Yeah.
So what are you doing in the next 90 days then, Claire?
What am I doing the next 90 days? Sorry, yeah, right, okay, so my next 90 days looks like I'm launching a group program starting in October. Then I'm mapping out what I'm doing, how to get more corporate clients, finishing my ICF accreditation, getting that online course launched, and then planning the next ones from there. So I've got 2 main things that I want to get in the bag in the next 90 days.
Can I ask you a question? What is the difference between a coach and a mentor?
Right, okay, so a coach, okay, so I'll do it the other way around. A mentor is somebody who has done or is where you want to be. So I could mentor a food business without any question, or any product business really, because I could just say, right, okay, do this, this is what's coming up, these are the pitfalls, and you're like telling them. Coaching is asking questions and bringing out their own abilities. So is asking them what they would like to achieve from that, how they think they could get there, what could possibly get in the way, why do they want to do that, making sure that they've got a goal that's wedded to what they want, not what they think that they want. It's all in the questions, and it's all in working with them to, the main way that I coach women I work with is really getting rid of their limiting beliefs, getting their mindset straight, working on their clarity of where they want to go, and then helping them stretch further. So coaching is a different mechanism to mentoring, like I say, and I think that's why I'd completely kind of like, it wasn't challenging me anymore in the food and the products, because it was literally, I was saying, right, okay, do this, and I was finding that a little bit boring personally. There was not as much fulfillment for me. Do you know what I mean? And I've had clients who've gone on to do such amazing things through coaching. There's just no limits with coaching. There's just no limits. I love it. Nice.
Yeah, I think I was talking to Tim about this, or at least we were messaging each other about it. Like, I've had people go, "Oh, Matt, can you be my mentor, or can you be my coach?" And I'm never quite sure what they mean. Like, what does that mean? And then I'm like, I'm a consultant anyway. That's where I get my kicks, like, you know, in terms of, you know, adding value to leadership teams, and usually to try and align them around their brand and their big vision, their 20-year vision, like you're talking, Tim. But yeah, so thanks for clarifying that. I think that's a really good definition. I'll have to bear that in mind. What do you need from me, person? We're going to go back into the main shuffle up.
Mentoring. Oh.
Yeah, no, you go, Tim.
Oh no, I was going to say mentor.
Matt, what do you do?
Me? Oh, this and that. I'm a business advisor, but really, basically, my official title is brand and culture consultant, which is a lovely way of basically saying I help align leadership teams around the big questions in their business. So I've got a background in sort of marketing and creative agencies, and kind of got sick of taking orders, and moved up into the boardroom to help people, you know, with their strategic thinking. Originally to help me take the order a bit better, and then realized actually I don't, like, other people can take the orders, and actually I do all right up in those sort of areas, adding the energy and the excitement to the room that needs to be there. So that's kind of where I live now, and I'm excited. I'm enjoying it. Been doing this well, I suppose I was always consulting for many years, even when I was running my own companies, but doing it as a consultant for nearly 2 years now. So it's yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, that's me.
Thanks.
Tim, were you going to say something, mate, about mentoring or something?
Yeah, only about mentoring. Like, it's I do it for a few organisations and stuff, but it's I always like it because it's a two-way street, right? I always learn as much as they do from the relationship. It's really cool. But there's loads of good orgs you can get stuck in on and give it a go, Matt. I will give it a go. It's rewarding. That's what it is.
Yeah, but it's quite
Still a
fun.
Virgin startup mentor, so I do mentoring for Virgin, and I have done that for about, I don't know, maybe 3 years now.
How'd you get on that?
I can't remember how it came about, but I don't know. But I've done, you know, I've had some really good brands that I've worked with who are really, you know, doing amazing things in the food world. So I keep my mentoring now for that, because that's just pro bono. That's where, you know, I'm happy to help them and happy to give all my product and food knowledge for free, and that's it. They just get that, and I enjoy doing that because I think I enjoy that, but I won't want to do it for a living.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just obviously very eager.
Yeah.
Folks, we're back. I thought we could do a shuffle, Fiona. I hope you didn't mind. Like, I thought.
Yeah, that's fine. So
Firstly,
apologies. We're not in the breakout areas now, are we? We're back.
We're all back. We're all coming into the main.
We're all back.
I just wanted to apologise to Victoria, who got lost in cyberspace somehow.
Yes, what happened
I
there?
do not understand what happened. I was getting text messages. Tim was getting WhatsApp messages.
I noticed I was joined with Gavin and Leslie, and then I looked on my other screen and I could see Victoria there. I logged in twice, didn't I?
Ah!
No.
I don't know what happened. I'm really sorry. Basically, what happens is as well, where as soon as you say, right, we're going to do some networking, like I said this to my group, like there's loads of people that just freak out because they don't want to talk. So like, so loads of people just jump, and you kind of get like, you've started it with 3 people in each room, and then some people ended up on their own. So then I'm desperately trying to find the people on their own to shuffle them around. So I'm sorry, Victoria.
I can see we've lost a few people. I think the idea of networking sometimes scares people, but I'm not.
Which is odd, right? Because we're a networking organisation.
I'm not quite sure what they're doing here then. We're RSViP, you know.
I do not understand.
But that's fine. You know what we're doing is we do a different format, don't we, most months, Matt? And since March, we've been trying different formats. The breakout area section at the end is optional. If people don't want to do it, or they've got kids they need to go off to, or other plans, it's fine.
They can do that. We'll just never forgive them.
No pressure. Yeah.
All right,
exactly.
cool. So with that in mind, I'm going to open up another room very briefly. Is that okay for maybe 10 minutes? And then again, it should be
Let's
random.
do it. And then we'll meet back again, yeah?
Yeah, and then we'll sum up. Okay, so they should be opening, I'm hoping, now. And you should be with new people, I'm hoping. But hey, if you're not, sorry.
Is everybody else on mute?
Hi.
No, now we're all free to chat away.
Again.
Folks, hello. You're all on mute when you come back in.
I'm not on mute.
Hello.
You're off
Hello.
mute.
Not anymore.
Ha! How are we all? Are we all right? Fiona, you're still on mute, which is unusual for you. You're on.
Here we are.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm back now. That was good.
Ours was interesting. It was like a game of charades.
We played charades. I
You
think,
actually did.
yeah, I think Tim was trying to play hard to get actually. And what he did was
Not this, Tim.
we couldn't hear him, so we were guessing his profession, and we were getting him to act out what his profession was.
Oh, brilliant.
Which was really good fun actually. And I said he's definitely playing hard to get. So it was good. It was quite well done. So
And
yeah,
what were some of the guesses and what was the actual answer?
I guess that he was a lawyer.
Me and Victoria
Yeah.
thought he was a solicitor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a counsellor.
Yeah.
Hello?
He's actually in digital marketing, so we were all
Okay.
completely wrong. So yeah, that was it really. It's good though.
I think maybe that'd be a game for the future one. Maybe next month we ought to do that in general. don't we?
I think
Well,
that's
it
an
was
awesome
slightly
idea.
ironic because he's a digital marketer, but he had to tell us what he did on the post-it note. So,
Yeah. It was a bit like we were playing it a bit like
What
Love
you got on your
Actually.
head.
Yeah.
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 That would
I
be
like
quite fun
that.
though, right? To get like a random person on, right? With a really
Yeah, and-
interesting job.
Yes.
Look at Tim.
And guess what they do?
Guess what they do?
Yeah.
And they're not allowed to
Yeah.
speak. We should.
Through actions
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
We
was
should
quite
make-
interesting. Yeah.
This is awesome. This is awesome.
Great
Right, well-
idea. That's the plan for next month.
Yeah, well, I don't know if anyone wants to sort of sum up, perhaps what was going on in their Zoom room. But one of the ones that I was in, we were very much talking about getting back to physical sort of events and stuff, and that was on people's minds. Like, whether actually we almost want to just kind of jump in a car for half an hour to go for a coffee with somebody, or jump on a tram, or even go into a town, was sort of being discussed. Like, is it really worth it? Like, now we've experienced just jumping on a Zoom. So that
Right.
was something we discussed. Any thoughts on any of the rooms you were in, Fiona?
Yeah, so we had a nice catch up, didn't we, Victoria and Victoria? I had a Victoria sandwich. I was between the two Victorias. So, and they've never met before, but I was trying to introduce them last week over email. So it was meant to be that we're all in the same room together. So it was a bit we cheated. We didn't really cover the question, actually. They just had a good old chinwag. And then the second group I was in, but it was productive. The second group I was in was Gemma and Anika and Tim Elliott. And we're kind of, Anika, interestingly, was telling us about her business to do with adolescent children and parents, and supporting parents with adolescent children. And it came about that Anika isn't really comfortable with marketing herself. So that then kind of led to an interesting discussion about how, in general, humans, especially in Britain, are very reserved. I love the word bumbling, as Tim used it, how we all bumble our way through kind of to sell ourselves because we're all so modest and we don't want to shout about it, compared to, like, say, maybe the Americans who are really good at it. So yeah, guys, we spoke about video and that being a really good way of practicing talking and marketing yourself, and recording yourself and getting out of your comfort zone a little bit to hear yourself speak and to hear yourself really say some good things about yourself. And nobody has to ever watch that video. So I think you're going to give it a go, aren't you, Anika? Yes.
She's on mute. She's not quite
Yeah,
confident
we've
enough
got
to
it, yeah.
She's
Halfway
going,
there.
no.
No. Well, Anika, I'm sure you'll be able to get confident enough to come off of mute at some stage. But just a thought, someone said to me one time, because I ran a business for like 9 years, right? And I didn't ever really put myself out and about at all. And I had a team underneath me and all sorts, and we were growing the business, and that was the focus. And I always used to think, I'm not one of these like big-headed people that, blowing my own trumpet. And then anyway, fast forward like 4 or 5 years after that experience, and I'm on my own as a consultant. And I was talking to someone and they said to me, Matt, look, no one's like, it's arrogant actually not to put yourself out, right? You're just telling yourself this story that it's arrogant to go out and about just because you don't really want to. The truth is, it's arrogant to sit there in a dark room and expect everybody to know how wonderful Matt is and to know what Matt's up to. And so ever since I heard that, it was kind of like an epiphany moment. It was like, do you know what? So now I probably go over and above and go too far the other way. But hey, that's how it works. But yeah, you have to kind of cross that bridge. Oh, she's gone off mute, ladies and gentlemen. Anika.
I am off mute. You know what? I'm not a shy person, so I can communicate and network and all of that. I just think that in a business sense, I don't know. I don't know what it is that just I would like to hide and not. I would just like to deliver my work and do the work that I do, as opposed to doing all the marketing bit. That's, that is what I'm uncomfortable with, and maybe I just don't like it. I don't know how but I recognise that it's necessary. So I just need to suck it up, I guess, and crack on.
I've got a secret, Anika. Nobody likes marketing. Not even marketing people.
Really?
Like, nobody likes it.
I totally disagree. I love marketing.
Sorry,
Tim. Sorry to burst your bubble.
You're right there.
I was going to say, Anika, like, if you don't like it, then there's lots of people even on this network that I think would probably love to help you, like Victoria Prince. I know Victoria Taylor does that. I'm sure there's others. So you should totally reach out, because they might be able to, to help you out in some of those areas. So that's my suggestion anyway.
Oh, thank you.
I'll
connect. We'll do a LinkedIn connect with everyone.
Yeah.
Connect.
Yes.
Doing a bit of research into Matt Davis currently, because I'm keeping tabs on how frequent his posts are. He's currently 1 in every 4 Instagram posts is Matt Davis beard. So I presume that. So I'm compiling a little year thing.
Listen, mate. That's not that.
Matt Davis montage by the end of 2020, don't we?
I mean, I did go crazy like today, and I got a load out because I've got a few busy weeks coming up. So I thought I'll blitz it today. But I will just say, Tim, and this is something for you to bear in mind: the Instagram algorithm will actually show you stuff that you like more often. Yeah. So you've only got yourself to blame liking my post.
He's your biggest fan, don't you know?
Yeah.
Right, well, I think it's probably time now to just turn to
the end.
Esteemed hostess, the glamorous Fiona Duncan-Steer, to sum up and to talk about what we're going to do next, if we're going to do anything next. Go on, then.
No, I think we've kind of, thanks, Matt. I think we've come to the end. I think we've had some really good breakout sessions there and had some good chats. Good conversations all around, really, and 2 fantastic speakers tonight. Thank you so much again to Claire Brumby and to Tim Elliott. Thank you. I think I'm to our speakers. Both extremely valuable speakers. Lots of great content there and lots of inspiration for us to take away and motivate ourselves to go on and do some good stuff into September, because we're entering into a whole new month, aren't we, again? Can you believe it? September 2020, we're almost in now. I mean, where's this time gone? But you know what? Thank you so much to those of you who have been supporting the online events since March as well. We're going to continue to do them for as long as we need to, but we hope that we can be back soon to face-to-face events as well. And then we can actually have a drink together as well and make it count. But in the meantime,
as to when we might be able to do that.
Well, yeah, I had a conversation with Terry, actually, didn't we, yesterday, Terry? Was it yesterday, the day before? And we were saying that it's still up in the air, but when you look at events forums, there's rumours about October being shouted about for events, but it's still going to have its limitations. So I think the number will be maximum 30 is what they're thinking for events in general. And that's whether or not the venues that can house you can accommodate that, because if there's still the social distancing rules and the mask rules in place, then really what's the point? I know me personally, with RSViP and our ethos and our format, it wouldn't work for us. We get 150 people in the room, 30 is not going to be enough. It's not going to work for us logistically. You know, we want to be able to see faces. We talk about connection and we talk about conversations. I would much rather connect with you guys on the screen and see your face than I would standing in front of you physically with a mask on. So we have to weigh it up, and we have to weigh up what's right for us individually, I think. And so me personally, with RSViP, I'm going to be keeping an eye on the government guidelines, as we all are, and we just hope that we can come back. And when we do come back, we'll come back properly. And I've got planned a massive comeback party, even if that has to be next year. So I expect all of you to be there. But yeah, that will be a big celebration in the room together. And until then, we just have to keep compromising and keep meeting up online. I'm afraid, but it's better than nothing.
It is. And thank you for putting them on, Fiona. I think we've all had a great time this evening.
Pleasure. And thank you for being my fabulous, amazing, awesome co-host.
Well, I don't know about that, but yeah, I just press buttons and kick Victoria Taylor out accidentally. So, you know, you can.
Right. Well, next month then, I guess we'll see each other here again if you can make it. Keep an eye out for the details online, in your inbox and on socials. But until then, guys, have a great month.
Yeah.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. We're doing that wave.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
we're doing the wave. Bye.